Hey guys, good morning and welcome to another episode of Motorcyclist MC Commute. You guys know the deal. Today we're going to be riding to the motorcyclist office in Southern California on KTM's 2020 390 Adventure. So let's throw the helmet on and go for a ride.
Well guys, here she is, KTM's 2020 390 Adventure. This is an all-new motorcycle for KTM. It expands their adventure bike lineup. It's the lightest and most affordable adventure bike that KTM offers. They've been crafting these bikes for 22 years, and they've wanted to expand their model lineup and reach out to a new rider with this 390 Adventure. I love the style of this bike. Look at the praying mantis headlight. That's the same type of headlight that its big brother, the 790 Adventure, uses. It's inset with LEDs. I love that plastic front fender that guards the inverted fork sliders. Look at the styling. Look at the side plates. It looks like you want to slap some numbers there and go race a rally race. I love the broad seat, the broad passenger seat. This is a very nice motorcycle. Look at the crash bars, the OE hand protection. You get all of this for $6,200. Isn't that crazy? But enough talking about it. Let's swing a leg over it and see what it's like to ride. All right, guys, here we go. Traditional mechanical key. Thank you, God. No keyless entry here. We have this 5-inch color display set up in dark mode. So white fonts on a black background, just like your iPhone. I love it. We've got MTC, motorcycle traction control, enabled. ABS is in off-road mode, so we can lock up the rear tire. The front tire has ABS, always on, it's fixed. What do you guys think of the sound of this thing? No adjustable power modes, no adjustable throttle maps. It's fixed, but that's not a bad thing. Hopping on this 390 Adventure, what a comfortable motorcycle. A lot of these entry-level categorized bikes, they feel like 2/3 versions of a full-size motorcycle. This, however, does not feel that way. The ergonomics are well proportioned for a 6-foot rider. This bike doesn't feel like a mini bike. I love the tall, wide handlebar. Seat's very comfortable. Seat height is a little bit taller than other bikes in this segment, but I wouldn't say that's a bad thing. I can still stand flat-footed at a stop. And the taller seat is going to pay dividends when you're riding in the canyons or riding off-road. Talked about the seat. It's nice and broad. This motorcycle is very slim too between the rider's legs. This bike's fitted with KTM's accessory quick shifter, available as a small upcharge. We'll talk about that in a second though, guys. And away we go, guys. Got the whole shot off the light. So the 390 Adventure is powered by KTM's 373cc single-cylinder engine. 4-valve cylinder head, dual overhead cam. This engine gets it. It puts out nearly 40 horsepower at the back tire. 40 horsepower at the business end of the Continental TKC 70 rubber. It's pretty good for a sub 400cc engine. Engine definitely has some pep in its step. God, this thing's got some pep in it. It's crazy. The optional quick shifter definitely makes the engine feel faster than it is, because you can hold the throttle wide open and just work through the 6-speed gearbox. It makes it feel like it has one uninterrupted gear. It also has the ability to shift electronically when downshifting, so you don't need to use the clutch either. And that adds a degree of stability when you're leaned over on the side of the tire and you're grabbing downshifts. A really nice feature. KTM hasn't announced the price of this accessory, but I would definitely pony up for it. You do feel some vibration in this engine. That's a hallmark trait of a big single-cylinder engine, but KTM's done some refinement in terms of engine mapping to give this engine a little bit more smoothness. So it does feel a little bit more smooth than I remember on the 390 Duke the last time I rode it a couple years ago. Clutch feel on this motorcycle, the clutch doesn't have too heavy of a pull, yet it's got some decent weight to it. It doesn't feel as wimpy as other motorcycles, entry-level machines. This is a very nice motorcycle if you're looking to ride and get to feel the way the clutch and the gearbox and the throttle works. This is a very friendly motorcycle for learning how to do that. Also like how all of the controls, the clutch lever, the brake lever, the foot controls, they have adjustment built in so you can move the position fore or aft. The rear brake pedal even has the actual pedal. You can move it forward or back, and additionally to up or down. So you always have that rear brake in the position you need when you're riding off-road. The foot pegs on this bike, they're nice and sharp. Some nice sharp serrated cleats on there. It also comes with removable rubber inserts. So if you want some vibration damping on the street, you have those rubber insets installed. If you want a more meaty foot peg for off-road riding, you just pull those out and there you go. Alright guys, we're riding on the repaved, notorious bumpy street. Nearly 7 inches of suspension travel on this 390 Adventure. And the suspension on this motorcycle works pretty dang good. KTM invested in an adjustable inverted fork. So the fork actually has some adjustment. Independent compression and rebound damping adjustment. Rebound is on the right, compression is on the left. And there's quite a range in damping. I was actually playing with the adjusters because they're toolless. You can just do it with your hands. And you can feel the difference between the highest and lowest setting. The shock offers spring preload and rebound damping adjustment. There is no compression. Conversely, there's no spring preload on the fork. But for its $6,200 asking price, it's certainly fine. I also like how the front suspension has red wipers on the fork leg, and that signifies how much travel you're using. I'm gonna hop in front of these guys. God, this bike's got some pep. I can't believe how quick it is for a little bike. Wish it had cruise control so we wouldn't be speeding. These bikes are so fun, it's hard not to accelerate and break the speed limit from time to time. Hopefully you guys won't tell on me. Cruising down the road here, this bike's fairly comfortable. Ergonomics are pleasing. The windshield could be a little bit taller. It's worth noting that you can actually adjust the position of it. It's got 2 positions. Right now it's in the highest position. You need a tool to do that, however. But very comfortable motorcycle. I like these plastic hand guards. These handguards protect your mitts from the elements. So even though this bike doesn't have heated grips, these plastic handguards do a good job keeping your hands warm. They also work in case you tip over the bike. Helps give you some crash protection, helps keep the handlebar from getting tweaked if you tip over on some rocks, which you totally could do because this bike is actually surprisingly capable off-road for entry-level adventure bike. 6-speed gearbox, shifts between its gears very well, has a nice precise feel. Again, we feel some vibration through the controls, especially the foot pegs, but to be fair, we've removed the rubber inserts. We test rode this bike in the Anza Borrego Desert, and we rode a fair amount off-road. So we ditched those rubber sets inside the foot peg to have a little bit more grip against our boot. 387 pounds with a full tank of gas, 3.8 gallon capacity. We've been averaging around 43 miles per gallon. 43 miles per gallon, you're like, what the heck? To be fair, we're riding this bike a little bit faster than maybe others would. We're always accelerating at full throttle, and we ride this bike pretty hard just because it's so fun to ride hard. It's nice that KTM put a decently sized fuel tank on this bike. This is something, a motorcycle you're going to be able to go 200 plus miles on between fill-ups. Let's get around these guys. Yes, another turn. These TKC 70 50/50 tires work really well on pavement and off. It's a good compromise for the 390 adventure rider. Of course, hardcore off-road dudes are probably going to want to fit a more meaty, a more chunky knob in the TKC 80s or the Bridgestone AX41. But for all-around town riding, you really can't beat these TKC 70s. They work really well. Yes, they have a little bit of a squirminess compared to a traditional road tire when you're going around turns, but I wouldn't knock them at all. Suspension's gliding over this freeway right now, delivering a really nice ride, very comfortable. But the thing I like about this bike is when you start leaning on it in the corners, it still has decent support. The rebound damping circuit isn't too fast. It has real nice action over bumps. And it delivers a surprisingly good ride quality for a bike at this price point. This 5-inch color LCD screen, I like it. I think it's neat that KTM fitted this screen on its 390 Adventure, but the fonts are a little too small. It's hard to read this stuff here. KTM has a Bluetooth enabled app which you can pair this display to, but it's an $8 charge. I don't know why KTM doesn't offer that for free like their competitors just to the north. Alright guys, another turn. This bike handles pretty good for a little street bike. Brakes have adequate power, good feel. Got a radial mount BYRBE by Brembo. That's Brembo's Indian subsidiary. Radial mount 4-piston caliper, pinching a big oversized vented disc brake. The back brake works well too. When you're riding this bike off-road, you're going to be using a lot of back brake just to control the position of the motorcycle, and it's good to know that the back brake has decent power and feel to it. Saw the traction control kick in. The neat thing about this bike is it has IMU powered, lean angle sensitive traction control and ABS. Very, very nice features. You don't typically find IMU powered traction control and ABS at bikes at this price point. Love working that gearbox, feeling that acceleration out of this 373cc engine. Alright guys, we're approaching the motorcyclist office. It's been a fairly fun ride on this 390 adventure. LED headlamps, LED taillight. I've ridden this bike at night, and the LED headlamps works very well. Very, very well. If you're someone who rides after dark, you're going to appreciate the headlamp on this bike. Alright, the beloved wheelie test. Let's see what she's got. We have to manually disable traction control, which we will do with this handlebar mounted switchgear here. Settings. Nope. Motorcycle. There we go. MTC. Off. The switchgear is the same. They misspelled throttle right there, guys. Is the same. Let's do it again. Is the same as the 790 Adventure. I like the switchgear. The tactile function's decent, but there could be a little bit of room to improve. I really like the dash display KTM's fitted on its... That wasn't good enough, guys. Let's try it again. There we go. Nice. I really like the dash display KTM's fitted on its 1290 Super Duke R 2020 model. And I can't wait for KTM to fit that dash display and that switchgear on all its bikes, because it works really well and it looks really slick. This stuff's definitely okay. Also like this 12 volt power point here. You can use it to plug in a USB insert, and then you can charge your gadgets or your GPS, which you can mount right there. Very nice, very clever, very functional. Alright guys, we're here at the motorcyclist office. And it's been a fun ride on this 390 Adventure. Alright guys, there she is, KTM's 2020 390 Adventure. I really like this bike for $6,200. This bike is a steal. I love the way it looks. I love the cozy seat. I love the ergonomics. The engine's pretty peppy for a 373cc single cylinder engine. I'm not a big fan of singles. I usually like multi-cylinder configurations a lot better because they just have more balls, but this thing's pretty decent for sure. Let's do some Q&A on this bike and see what's up. Here we go, guys. Straight to the top. Is it actually off-road ready? Yes, this bike is off-road ready. The 50/50 tires from Continental do good off-road. It's got some bash protection, a plastic, mixed plastic aluminum skid plate. It's not super heavy duty, but it is enough to get you by. Look at those big serrated foot pegs. Crash bars. I crash tested those. They're scratched. They work great. Handguards work great too. Keeps that bike from being damaged when you lay her down. Alright guys, how much does it cost to change the oil and oil filter? Engine maintenance is very minimal. After initial break-in service, this bike goes a couple thousand miles between oil changes. This bike requires very little maintenance because it doesn't have a lot of power. It's going to be easy on the drive chain. You're not going to wear out the brake pads just because you're not going to be going that fast. So this bike is recommended for people who don't want to spend a lot of money on maintenance. Can it be used as a daily commuter on the highway? It could absolutely be used as a daily commuter on the highway. It cruises at highway speeds fairly well. Of course, the engine's a little bit more strung out than a multi-cylinder would be, but I wouldn't say that this bike is incapable of commuting on the freeway. Very nice bike. How buzzy is the engine? Is it suitable for daily commuting on the highway? Again, the engine still is buzzy. Yes, this engine has a counterbalancer, but it still has a relatively high level of vibration. KTM updated the fuel mapping on this motorcycle for 2020, and it does feel more smooth, but it still has a lot of vibration. On a side note, that radiator is also a larger component. It's also curved and has fans on it. So when you're riding in thick traffic during hot days or riding off-road in slow speeds, the engine has the cooling capacity to keep it cool. Is the seat comfortable after 2 hours of riding? Yes, the seat's very comfortable. I really like that seat. I spent 8 hours in that seat a couple days ago, and it was very, very comfortable. Does it run hot? The RC390 was a bit finicky that way. We just talked about it. A lot larger radiator, curved with auxiliary electric fans. This bike doesn't throw a lot of heat on it. It's very, very comfortable for riding when it's warm out. All right, guys, that's a wrap from today's 2020 390 Adventure MC Commute. Would I buy this $6,200 390 Adventure? I personally would not buy it just because I want a more powerful, more high-performance adventure bike. But if I was someone who was looking into getting into adventure riding, or I'm someone who wants to maybe have two bikes, I mean, you can buy two of these things for $12,400, and now you can take a friend with you. Now your girlfriend can come ride with you. Now, you know, you just have an extra bike in the garage. And when you're riding with a friend on these bikes, it's a lot of fun because it's all about manhandling the bike and riding hard, riding fast. I also want to point out that KTM's made some really good strides in the fit and finish department. These motorcycles are built in India. And when KTM started doing that with the RC390, the fit and finish was a little hokey pokey. They're definitely making some strides. You can still tell that this bike is made in India, though. There's some orange peel effect on parts of the frame. That little teeny tiny front axle and some of the fasteners are a little bit cheap, but overall a very nice bike. All right, guys, that's a wrap from the 390 Adventure MC Commute. Make sure to see more content on motorcyclistonline.com, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.